It's now my great pleasure to introduce Rob Kurver, who's the founding partner of Hemaayah, and he's going to actually lead and moderate our next panel. Welcome, Rob.
Thanks, Henry. Thanks. It's great to be here. I don't think I have slides, so that's easy. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for staying around for this panel session. We're going to try and have a bit of a discussion now, because we heard from a telco, we heard from Mohsin, which was really great, by the way. I loved your talk about trust. So we're going to talk about trust. My name is Rob Kurver. I'm the founding partner of an organization called the CPaaS Acceleration Alliance, or Hemaayah in short. We bring the CPaaS and the telco industries together. Because the thing, Johanna, while you come on stage, and Eli as well, from ServiceNow, and Mohsin, please come on stage. The thing you were missing in your slide about collaboration was the CPaaS guys. So I have some questions. Because the thing is, today, as you may or may not know, there's about a $10 billion business in SMS one-time passwords. We get them every day, from our bank, from our airline, from booking, from anything we try to do on our iPhone or Android phone, whatever. The first thing you get is an SMS with a code. And we all hate them because you need to do that. But we all love them because they also give us the trust that apparently there's a check. So that's very interesting. I was thinking about it recently, about network APIs and the silent part. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk with you guys about where we are now. Awesome introduction and announcement today. Then what use cases we have, and we have on stage today, very cool, a telco. Elise from ServiceNow, so he represents the enterprises of the world, the large enterprises with workflows, and then Mohsin, startup and innovation. So we're going to talk with the telco, enterprises, and startups about the dynamics in this ecosystem. Because I personally think that network APIs are really cool. And we spent the last 3 or 4 years, whatever, standardizing APIs, whatever, in dark rooms, and they came up with APIs, and nobody really cares. Who cares about an API? We care about that $10 billion business. Or how much was the business for what you described, Mohsin?
$120 billion.
That's good money. That's business here. So I think network APIs, what we need to talk about more is where the money is and how we get there. So step one, the APIs are defined, sort of, and we're being brought to market. So that's really cool. Joanna, please. Why was it so hard, or is it so hard, for the operators to work together that you need a formal announcement here today? And again, congratulations that it got done. It was really cool, really big step, and we're seeing it more around the world, right? US last week, 1 or 2 weeks ago, all the major carriers there cooperating. We've seen it in the Netherlands, we've seen it in Brazil already. So more and more of those regions are being lit up, if you will, with a few of the operators working together. Why is it so hard for the operators to work together?
It's a great question, Rob. Look, I think ultimately, a lot of these things that you say, right? We made good progress on standardization, we made good progress on this. Candidly, technology change is relatively easy, right? How do we progress the technology? But what we're talking about with collaboration is a cultural shift. We are operators where, quite candidly, it is somewhat ingrained within us to compete. You know, we sit in markets and we look at our competition. So in many ways, you know, we are set up to compete, we are set up to go against one another in the interest of the consumer. So when an opportunity comes along that requires us to collaborate, and I want to be clear, not every single API opportunity requires collaboration. There is plenty of opportunity for us to differentiate, but for a central purpose where we're talking about fraud or authentication, where the customer that we're selling to doesn't know which network their customer is on, it absolutely does require market coverage. And I think that culture shift for us as industry is one that's quite significant. Even talking as Vodafone, when I first joined 4 years ago, in the boardroom, the conversation was always, how are we going to differentiate? How are we going to have the best APIs? Yes, but how is, I get that we're going to standardize them, but how will ours be better than everybody else's? And there is an element of that. We can talk about latency or performance, but the reality is, the cold hard facts of what the API does needs to be consistent and needs to be collaborative, and that is something I think, culture change takes a lot longer, and I think it's really exciting to see country by country, region by region. We're now seeing that sort of early stage adoption really speed up, and as you say, we're seeing announcements almost on a weekly basis around the world as different markets are coming to the table.
Cool. Thanks. I get it and I don't get it, but I'm glad we're here, right? And I'm glad that we have the mindset now for the operators that they need to open a network. I also get the collaboration, right? As you say, with the operators, and it's brilliant work that GSMA Open Gateway have done with the team over the last couple of years. And in our alliance, we have, Vodafone, our member, but also Sinch and Twilio and Infobip, all the big CPaaS guys. So we're trying to bridge that gap as well, and also towards startups and scale-ups and AI, and we'll get to that in the other 13 minutes that Justin kindly gave me. So let's move to the enterprise voice. Eli, ServiceNow, you're a major worldwide, huge platform, ERP, whatever, enterprises, 80% of the Fortune 500, whatever, uses it, and telcos use it. So why are you excited about network APIs?
We are an AI platform, or the AI platform for business transformation. You're right, we cover the automation aspect for enterprises, but we do it very well for telecoms as well, end-to-end, across the service value chain. And we find APIs and the demand for this API is extremely important and something that needs to be taken with a lot of, looked at with a lot of attention, because we do two things that help in that aspect. One, we help with the collaboration that Joanna talked about earlier. And two, we allow the use of these APIs. We allow, whether you're a telco or an enterprise, to actually commercialize it, get the outcome out of it, turn it from a trigger to an action. Because by the end of the day, the end user is looking transparently at what's happening under the hood or at the API itself. The telco company is providing a service to a financial institution or a bank to make the end-to-end workflow, as we call it, function. So by the end of the day, telcos, they need a way to monetize this. They need a platform to engage with the right audience or the right market for these types of APIs, hence the platform story. But there is also an enterprise requirement for this workflow to be very seamless, or Joanna called it frictionless. And to remove this friction, you really want to go from a trouble to resolve or order to pay quickly without noticing what's happening in the background. So I'll give you an example.
I like that part. And it goes back to what I said, right? We recognize the SMS OTP that we get, right? And it tells us there's security going on. I kind of like that. If I didn't get that from my airline when I made a booking, I'd be suspicious. Is it even secure? So I think but the reason we need to go there is because we need these workflows to be more secure, so it needs to be frictionless and faster. And I think we're going to talk, let's wait for the AI part for a few more minutes, right? And we get to the AI, because I think that agentic AI story, and I love what you were talking about yesterday, Joanna, in that other session, that changes everything, right? We cannot stand or stick with the SMS OTP thing. We need smarter solutions. So let me go to Mohsin real quick. We just saw your story. Why do you need all of these operators to provide these network APIs capabilities that you depend on? Very simple.
So, again, I'll build up from the human connections, right? So what we are trying to solve for is human connections, and why there is agentic AI and everything which is trying to take over. So the human connections are built of the traits and relationships, right? So the network should understand the relationships and the limitations. So I probably missed on that part, but I've got a specially abled child, right? So he's with disability, and the card that the family graph that we had, he has a disability mark on that card. But when he enters the metro, would the metro stay a little bit longer because the wheelchair needs to get in, right? So all of the use cases, some of them that I talked about in case of that, but the relationships and the unique personal traits have to be combinedly understood by the network. And it cannot be a siloed activity, right? So if Vodafone knows it and Ooredoo doesn't want to collaborate, but it's in the best interest of relationships in the society, right? Around safety that we talked about. Now that that payment issue is solved, that I can walk into a ride-hailing app and then walk out of it without paying. But my relationship with my daughter and how I want to see that covered if she goes out of a certain periphery, I should be alerted and would make sure that only me as a father can get access to that information. So the relationships which are lost in the world of AI is something that needs to bridge back with the help of these intelligent networks.
I love that. I love that angle because I think the human component we often forget when we talk about telcos and networks and 5G and standalone and blah, blah, blah. It's really about humans and solving real problems in society. I think this is a great example. And I love how telcos are coming back into that picture, right? Because for a long time, telcos were sort of, I don't know, dumb pipes and more for less and cheaper and no ARPU and whatever. So, Joanna, going back to you.
After you insulted our industry.
I have another question for you. So, announced today, right, in Qatar, and you're also live with Do, I think, in UAE, and Vodafone is across the world in a couple more regions. So you're on a roll, right? This is a thing. It's really happening, country by country, right?
It's really happening.
Tell us a few use cases that you have live, up and running with network APIs from anywhere in the world. I mean, Qatar is new. So what are the sort of things that people can expect also here in the region next year?
Yeah. So happy to give I gave a couple of examples earlier, so I'll also try and strive for a little bit of breadth, but couple of services. And look, the human element is critical here, right? Because without the human element, we're just building services that don't drive anything, right? So APIs at the end of the day are products. They need to deliver a great experience. And if we miss the mark, honestly, there's no take-up for the APIs we create. So a couple of examples. We have a product launching. So this is a bit of a sneak peek. We have a product launching in the next couple of weeks in the UK market where we will offer businesses. So for those of you, I'm sure you can relate, phone rings, unknown number. Likelihood to answer the phone call, fairly minimum. But there's always that chance that the person that's calling you is your doctor, is your bank, that the call is actually valid, right? And they're trying to get hold of you. We're launching a service in the UK where we will allow businesses to verify themselves with us, essentially, and then we will brand that call coming into the network. It's a Hemaayah API. It's one of the first global implementations. So we will display the brand of the caller coming into the network. We can go on to display the reason for the call and the logo. And if a call comes onto the network that doesn't match the credentials that we've done a KYB on, the call will be blocked. This is a service, look, we're building a Hemaayah implementation. There are a number of implementations globally, so it's not that this is the first time it's been done. And we know, for example, in the US market, the adoption has been so successful that now if the call is not branded, nobody answers the phone. So I think giving that confidence to the consumer that this is a verified call, that's with confidence, this is the call I was expecting from the doctor's office, taking that call with the reason will give more consumer confidence. So we have that planned for a number of our countries, so we're rolling that out at the moment.
Cool. Now, let's move. We have 5 more minutes. Let's move into the world of AI, just because we should. It's the big change coming, right? So, Eli, you started talking about ServiceNow as an AI platform for enterprises and also for telcos. And you have that service bridge thing where these things connect. So, how are enterprises in your workflow AI world, how are they going to do this AI stuff? And why do they need the telcos to give you those network APIs, the trust to make this stuff work in the first place?
Yeah. It's they're not going to do it. They're doing it right now. They've already started. The agents on the platform, the AI agents, are up and running with a lot of functions. And when you think about agentic, you got to move from the deterministic workflow of the agent. So it's not one agent doing one specific thing. You got an orchestrator that runs on the platform, spins up a teams of agents, and each one of them takes a specific use case. They work together, and they give the outcome. So when we think about the APIs and the importance of that, of those APIs becomes clearer in a minute, they become tools that these agents require to do the job. So by the end of the day, we look at the APIs as triggers to an action again, something that will feed into a workflow and eventually drive an outcome. They are so essential to those agents because they cannot function without tools. Of course, you also need the data element, which ServiceNow covers quite well, both for the enterprise and the telcos. But when you have this orchestrator spinning up the agents and the teams of APIs, one of them, let's say in a dispute for a card fraud transaction, is going to need to go launch or trigger the API call to verify a SIM swap. And if the answer that it gets back is going to be, yes, we did have in the past 24 hours, for example, a SIM swap, it will automatically hand over to the next agent who is going to go block the card, or to the third agent who is going to go open a case fraud on the API level. And you start to see how all these things need to come together, and the API becomes an essential tool or a requirement that needs to be trusted by this agent for it to continue its workflow. If we get a response from the API that's not maybe, then we'll need to assign a risk score, and that's not going to work. Which is why what Qatar announced today, both Ooredoo and Vodafone providing the 100% coverage, is also very important, because when you standardize as such, you stop looking at exception, and you become able to apply policy. So you move from policy to exception, and automation hates exception. Rob?
I love that. I want to move. I see the whole enterprise world going here, right? Because you're taking them along, and some of the other players are playing. So that's happening, whether we like it or not, right? AI is coming. It's coming for our jobs. It's coming for our stuff. But it's relying on the telco. So I guess that's the good part. We're still in business here if we get that trust part. Now, I want to go. We have 2 more minutes left. I want to go to the collaboration part. So one of the things that we do at Qatar is we also we work with cases and case directories and state of the market, where's things going, and how's collaboration going to help solve the next generation of problems, basically, innovation. And we also do, we're starting to do investments into startups and scale-ups that want to build this new stuff. Because I think this is crucial. We need the usage to grow. So startups, we have seen plenty, again, not picking on the telcos, but we've seen plenty of POCs using network APIs, and then they go nowhere because there's no money to build a proper company out of that. So looking at you, Mohsin, what would you need from this industry to make your plans come true? Is that funding? Is that more support from the operators? Is that go-to-market support? What's the sort of stuff that you would need as a startup scale-up to be successful?
Thank you for that. Again, building on from the relationships, right? So we're talking about the industry that we are serving is the underserved industry. So they're the biggest segment in the GCC, the biggest numbers generator for the mobile operators. Yet okay. The most limited products.
I'm going to interrupt you. We have 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You all get 10 seconds to say what you need from the other players in the industry to become successful. 10 seconds. What do you need?
So we need the identification to be opened up with their traits. So how can they cross-relate to build a better infrastructure for coordination?
Cool, thank you. Eli, what do you need from the rest of the players here?
The platform needs to be your strategy. That's it.
Cool. Joanna, what do you need from the others?
Telcos, participate. Everybody else, tell us what you want.
Oh, I have plenty. We're going to talk. Thank you so much, guys. Give them a big hand of applause. And thank you for being here. And I'll hand it back now to for the introduction of the next session. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Oh, good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff.